Hi, this is Stonebridge. Checking out my boys Evo RST.
Good morning, Stonebridge. How are you?
Good morning. I'm a bit shattered, actually. I just came back from Miami. It's a long flight, but I had a great gig, so I'm pretty good shape, actually.
Glad to hear it. Now, Stonebridge, what's been happening in your world?
Honestly, there's been happening a lot. I don't know what happened. It was I think it was the Neo remix I did, Closer. And then the US started to change, and it's more dance there now. So I've been really busy, specifically in the US lately, actually, for touring and also the tracks and remixes and stuff.
Okay, always good to keep busy. Now, Stonebridge, let me take you back. In your mix of Robin S, Show Me Love became a dance music phenomenon and still gets love every single day without fail. How did the mix come to light?
It was a funny one. I was just starting out. Basically, I was a Swedish guy, and in those days, it wasn't a bonus being from Sweden. Either New York or London, otherwise you were, not really happening. So I called this label, a little label called Champion, in London, and asked them if they had any old stuff lying in the basement. And they said, yeah, we have this track, Show Me Love. The vocal is okay, the rest is crap. Okay, so they sent it over. And I think I did 4 or 5 mixes, and they didn't like any of it. And then I got really mad one day, and I did that final mix with the organ. It took me about 4.5 hours, and it's never happened since that I did a mix that quick. But I think it's because I didn't think so much, I just did it. And then I sent it off, and they were a bit like, yeah, it's all right. And then they didn't tell me that 8 months later it was a massive hit in the UK, and the year after in the US. So it was a funny one, that.
Wow, that's a very interesting story indeed, Stoney. Now, of course, the Swedish guys with Layback Luke went on and relicked Show Me Love. How did all that happen?
Well, I know what happened. It was actually Axel that asked me, because we're friends. He asked me if he could get the a cappella. And then he did a bootleg with Eric Fritz called Magenta, Show Me Love, or something like that. And I'm pretty sure that he passed that a cappella around to the other boys, and that they used that a cappella to create their track B. And then Ministry came up with a beautiful idea to re-record the vocal of Robin S. And then they put that a cappella on top of B, and then they finally did the Show Me Love cover. So, and I know that Steve was really upset that Michael Mind covered it, because he felt that he was infringing on his work. So I was thinking, that's a bit rich, because basically they took all my ideas for their version. So it was a bit of a funny one, that, really. But, seen in retrospect now, I'm really happy that it's still, because I thought that the whole tension would go away from the original and sort of become more the new thing. But it was actually quite the contrary,
Quite rightly so. The original still gets played to this day, Stoney. Now, the next turning point for you was Put 'Em High and Take Me Away, and, they actually labelled you as a funky house music mogul. How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel really good, Put 'Em High was great, because Show Me Love was a remix, and Put 'Em High was obviously an artist single. So I could prove that I could create, my own songs as well. So it took me to the next level, in a way, there, and I started to do my artist albums around that time. I've just released my 3rd one now, and it's going really well, and I'm super happy about that.
Glad to hear. Now, on a production tip, you've remixed almost everyone from Britney to Robbie Williams. Do you feel the pressure to keep consistently churning out big tracks?
No, I don't, actually. That can be a problem, because at heart, I'm sort of a quality vocal kind of guy. I love vocals, and I prefer to do vocal mixes. And sometimes the labels whine a little bit. They think it's not commercial enough, and they sort of give me a reference. Can you make it a bit more Greta-ish, that kind of thing? And I always say no, because then go to Greta if you want that sound. So I have my own sound and my vibe, and most of the time it works, but sometimes they feel it's just not commercial enough.
Okay, cool, gotcha. But you don't feel any kind of pressure at all, because you set yourself such a high benchmark. One would assume that labels would have a certain expectation of you?
They do. I mean, okay, I see what you mean now. For instance, one time I delivered a really clubby mix, it was like banging. I loved it, I played it myself, but the label just didn't get it. They said, dude, this is not at all what we expected from you. So, you're right, people have certain expectations. They expect like a big anthem every time. And I can feel pressure sometimes, usually I tell the label before what I'm going to do with it. If it's a really quirky song like Sia, for instance, there's not too many ways you can go. And first they didn't like it so much, but they did love it later, like a year later when it was a big hit. So sometimes sometimes I'm right.
Fantastic. Now, what should we be watching out for on Stoney Boy Music?
Well, I've hooked up with this guy called JC, John Carr from the UK, and he's a genius. The guy is just unstoppable. And there's a track called I'm Free that was released about a week ago on the label. It's sort of a French, I wouldn't say filtery, it's more like a Daft Punk, but with a definite 2010 touch to it. And I've also just put out another one called Rock Massive, You Don't Know. And both tracks are going, I mean, I play them all the time and it's phenomenal. I'm really excited now about the label, the way it's going. There was, you know, sometimes I'm a one-man guy, you know, I do all my music and everything myself. So sometimes, you know, when I was doing the album, for instance, I didn't have time to pay attention to the label 100%. But now I have a really, like 2 or 3 really good releases lined up, so looking good for the summer.
Great, we look forward to some quality dance music. Now, Stonebridge, the Dutch are all getting together, they're merging, they're collaborating. Do you have the same interest to work with your fellow Swedes?
You ask tricky questions.
So I get paid the big bucks.
Well, I'm not sure I want to do that. You know, we have very different sounds. You know, I mean, I suppose we do meet in some areas, but they have their sound and their vibe, and I have mine. So I know Eric Prydz he doesn't really collaborate much with people anymore because he has his own identity and sound. I suppose I'm pretty much the same. You know, you never know, but I doubt it.
Completely understood and appreciate your honesty, Stoney. Now, while I've got you in the studio, can I just ask you what your most vital plugin is?
Oh, I mean, it's all plugins now, isn't it? But I would say, like, what I put last is my Waves LL316. It's like the L1, but the latest version, and it's just, the way it limits the music is just unbelievable. That's a really good one. I actually use it on kicks and bass as well, because if you want to squeeze something, that's the best one.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for sharing that trade secret, and I'm sure most of us are going to be out there this afternoon hunting for that plugin. You know, another Waves plugin that has a huge, everybody has it now, it's the PAZ. It's a spectrum analyzer, and it was a video of Eric Prydz in the studio, and you can see that plugin. The next day, I bet you that Waves sold like 5,000 of those plugins. Boom, like that. It's a really good one, actually. If you wanna, if you don't have a perfect room, like a perfect studio, you're at home producing, it's like essential tool because you see that you have all your frequencies covered in the mix. Okay, great, and thank you very much for another excellent studio tip. Now, away from all things music, Stonebridge, how do you chillax? I watch movies. I'm a DVD collector, you know, I have pretty much everything. Cool, us. We definitely share the same interests. Do you have any favourites you can announce for us? Well, I can't wait for the new Dexter to come, you know. That's a bizarre series, but I do like it. And Californication, that's another really good one. Just finished season 3 of Tudors, which is a bit twisted too. And movie-wise, I want to see Robin Hood, even though it's been done like 15 times. But I think this one's going to be really good. Have you seen it? Haven't actually had the time to get around to watch it, but it's on my very long list of things to watch. Exactly. Cool. Any classics that spring to mind? More classic? Well, I do like the big epic films, you know, like Gladiator and stuff like that. There's another one, a really corny one. The one when Bruce Willis saves the world. Armageddon. It's a good Sunday afternoon. You come back from a gig, you know, you're really tired. Actually, it's a good one for today. Jet lag movie. Okay, on that note, I'm sure you're tired. Catch that flick, and it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Stonebridge. Absolutely. Thank you very much. www.evo and RST.com